you do is we charge $500 for the pre-lit. Once we're retained, we enter our appearance on your behalf. Okay, do a full workup, get all the options that are available to you, go over those in detail. You make a decision, we get prepared for the hearing and execute.
Turn left onto Argent Boulevard.
Okay, I just had a couple questions.
Sure.
There is no victim in this case, right?
What do you mean there is no victim in this case? The Commonwealth takes a place if there's not a physical human, right? So
okay, they can't
unless
be a
it's like an assault. Who, the Commonwealth?
Yeah, they would be the state would be a third party.
Turn left onto Argent Boulevard.
Uninterested party, right?
Not necessarily.
How are they not an uninterested party? They don't have any injuries.
Okay, so if you violate a crime in the state of Pennsylvania, there doesn't need to be a human attached to it for you to still violate the crimes code.
Under common law, right? What jurisdiction are the courts under?
Okay, I know exactly where you're going with this. Okay, that argument is not going to fly.
All right, so, but I still need an understanding. So, are these courts common law or maritime admiralty jurisdiction?
No, this isn't a sovereign citizen situation.
Yeah, there is no such thing as a sovereign citizen. They don't exist. I understand
right,
that.
That's right.
So, are these common law courts or are they maritime admiralty jurisdiction courts?
Well, I think you already know the answer to that. So why don't you tell me what you think it is?
Well, you guys are attorneys, right? So you guys are supposed to be protecting, right? You guys are supposed to protect property.
I understand where you're going with this.
The state's the trustee, right?
Look,
I have the I have the equitable title. So
sure, if you want to make that argument, that's fine. I can't help you with that, and that's why I understand what you're saying.
So you do understand what I'm saying, then, right?
I understand what you're saying. I understand your argument. What I'm saying is
I would be in dishonor if I hired an attorney, then, right? Would I be under?
Are you there?
Would I be in dishonor?
No, so I'm not going to answer any of that because I'm not. I know what you're saying. I'm just not. That's not what I practice. Okay.
I know you practice something else, but I just need to know what jurisdiction the court's under.
Well, so what I would advise you to do, okay, is that when you're going to represent yourself. Okay,
no, I'm not going to represent anything. I'm not representing anything. I am me, and they're obviously leading a named trust. So that's a DBA in Montgomery County. That's a published DBA right now, actually. Okay, so then what you proceed as if you normally would. I mean, I guess where I'm at is I've been down this road a couple times. Right. And so my point is that it's always the same. I'm not going to represent or have somebody. You guys don't want to hire me, right? No, I want to know if I'd be in dishonor if I did hire an attorney. So I'm asking an attorney, am I in dishonor if I hire an attorney by arguing the case and not just saying, hey, this is what's going on.
No, and I know where you're coming from, and I've had people who have hired us to represent them, and have had those personal opinions on the situation, such as yourself. I've had other people who would ask me the same questions you have, and I told them that's a decision for you.
The right to trial has been, that's on the books. That's been on the books. So I guess since I asked this officer if he was accepting liability on the scene, he accepted liability on the scene, and I have two witnesses to that with sworn statements.
Right, and all I'm telling you, in all my time, I've never seen the argument that you're putting forth work. I've actually seen the opposite.
Right, because
judges have just gone nuts.
Yeah, I know, because in Montgomery County, from my experience before, I used to always hire Doug Breidenbach, and he already let me know that Montgomery County doesn't follow their own rules. They expect everybody else to, but they don't follow their own codes. Okay. So I'm just trying to reconcile the situation with a county that doesn't follow their own codes, and obviously is administering property even when people expressed the trust. And according to the Bankruptcy Act in 1933, and there not being any lawful species of money to settle debts with, especially with the Clearfield Doctrine, since they're using Federal Reserve notes, they don't have any sovereignty. We're not even stating I mean, you said something about a sovereign citizen. They don't even exist. Lawfully, they don't even exist. So I don't understand why that term, that's the first go-to term that I hear in every case that this is talked about. Yet, when I get into court, they never talk about sovereign citizens. And they never talk about any stuff because that stuff's not even relevant.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
no, I do. That's the common term. That's
everybody being in the position of a public trust, I don't want to be in dishonor, and I wanted to ask an attorney first, so I don't have it wrong.
Turn
you know
left
what I mean?
South Carolina 170.
So what I'm saying to you is I am the wrong guy to ask that, because while I fundamentally understand the arguments, I don't necessarily have an opinion on that.
Okay, I respect that.
And I know what you're saying. I hear you. Believe me, I hear you.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have a position on that at this time, so I don't want to give you something that I'm not confident in. Okay.
So theoretically, right? Say I were to hire you, with the situation that's going on now, being that the officer already accepted liability, and obviously he understands what I'm talking about.
Maybe he does.
How would we go? Right, you're right. I respect that.
Well, okay. So let me tell you how these things have played out. I think this will answer your question. Okay. I don't necessarily think that you're going to end up hiring us when you do your homework. Second off, I think that. So.
You understand what I'm saying about being a dishonor? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Why don't you tell me? I'm pretty sure I don't want to assume. So why don't you tell me what you think?
All right. So someone charges something, right? When they bring me in there, they're going to try to give me a bail bond, right? So that's basically me bonding his claim. But I'm not responsible to bond his claim because he's the one making the claim. And I know that it's not a lawful claim because there's no damages. So, and if there's any bills or anything, he's not presenting what that is for me to settle or to pay off. You know what I'm saying? So since the securities will be created when I get to the preliminary, and they're obviously not going to use them to discharge, they're going to try to have me go to jail and go through all that hullabaloo. They're in dishonor immediately by trying to lodge charges to property and not being the beneficiary title holder. And if I say that I'm not the surety, and I obviously I'm not the trustee, because that's not how the Bankruptcy Act worked. Then they would be, the state's always in a position of public trust. They would be violating that public trust in order to move forward and have me bond a claim that they're responsible for.
Right.
And if I argue with it, if I argue that, and say I just say, okay, cool, I'll take, whatever it is you're charging, let's settle it. How much is that I owe? They're not going to give me any bill. It's basically like they're not giving me any relief to settle.
So I understand that.
You know what I mean? So if I argue, then I'm in dishonor because I'm not just accepting.
I know, but hang on one second for me, okay? Because here's the part where I don't want to comment on that. Because in this scenario, there's two systems. The system that you just put forth and the system that I've been working in for years, and hundreds, thousands of other attorneys have been working in. Right. I'm not saying that I don't disagree with you or any of that stuff. All I'm saying is that I've heard these arguments put forth, and every time I've kind of challenged to learn, okay, I still get at the point where it's like
they don't let you budge.
Well, nobody budges, right? Because that's the way. Because over on the right hand side, in the land that I'm living in, right,
public side,
there's the public side, right? And so that land is what everybody works and lives in.
Normally, yes.
Normally, correct.
But once go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. I'm sorry.
And so my point is what I don't want to do, okay, is comment on your side where I don't have what the working knowledge that you have. Okay. So if you're going to choose to go down that side and make that argument, and here's kind of the way I explain it, okay? If you want to stay on your side, okay, where we're arguing gold fringe on a flag, right? And 1871 Act. Okay. Then you're going to stay on that side by yourself. Okay, or just not with me. If you want to go on the public side, then that's where we're at to get you in and out of this. Okay, so we don't have to deal with this crap.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, because I think where you and I can agree is this, and please, I mean this with the utmost respect, and I'm not being disrespectful.
And I'm not taking it disrespectfully. I appreciate
you and I think you and I both know what's going on in this world.
Right.
Okay, and Marcus Cross is not going to be the individual who breaks the public side. Right?
Well, you're saying Marcus Cross. I mean, that's still claiming the trust. You know what I mean?
I know.
I mean, I could be Marcus Daniel 5/1979. Then I'm a creditor.
Who holds your birth certificate, right?
I hold the birth
certificate.
You know what I mean? I'll bring that to court. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but who actually owns it? It's like paper, right? I get it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you got it, right?
Yeah.
Look, I'm telling you, I understand what you're saying, but my point is that those two have to be clearly separate, in my opinion, because I took an oath and I'm over here in the public side, okay? So I've got to follow those rules, that law, because I'm held to those standards.
Right, now when you say an oath, do you mean an oath to the Constitution or an oath to the bar? Because if it was oath to the Constitution, then this shouldn't be an issue.
Well, okay, again, that's where the delineation comes, okay? So all I'm saying at this point is if you want to go over on this side and work in the public side, that's fine.
I mean, I told him I don't want to work in the public side. I mean, that's consensual. You know what I mean? And so if I were to do that, that means that I'm being extorted.
Well, again, I understand your argument. I do. But until that all changes, that's the land that I live in.
Understood.
Whether I agree with it or not.
The commercial realm, yeah.
That's the commercial realm, right?
Right. So being that this commercial, then it would have to be a meeting of the minds, and that's what I'm not getting here. I mean,
well, because you're taking a fundamental approach to it, kind of a constitutional approach. I mean, all the back all the history that everybody seems to forget, or just skews and slices and dices however they want. I mean, I get it, but I'm not saying you. I'm just saying everyone in general, right? But what I'm saying is that you've been charged with a statutory infraction. Okay, with the weapons and stuff. So if you want to be on the other side, on the public side, then we can help you, but we've got to follow that, right? Because judges in that world don't want to hear what you're saying.
Right, but I mean, then I got to acquiesce to being a fictional entity, and I'm not a fictional entity.
I get it.
I'm not a state-created being, and if that means that I'm being extorted to say that I'm a fiction of law, that's fraud. That's like, isn't that some type of swindle?
Well, that's up for you to decide.
It's just common sense. I mean, I can't be a thing.
No, I get it.
I can't be a name trust.
I get it, Marcus. I get it. Right. you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. I
understand what you're saying. You only got a certain amount of room to operate.
Look. You're hearing me, and I'm hearing you, and I'm telling you how I can help you.
Understand.
And if your line in the sand is not to come over to that side, then I can't help you. That's what I'm saying.
I guess what I'm saying is, me coming over there puts me in dishonor, because there's not any type of conditional acceptance, and if you're not familiar with the conditional acceptance, then I'm just screwed, basically paying back the money they're trying to pocket and the securities that they're trying to create in my name and extort me for, and that they're going to extort me for when I get there on February, if I make a general appearance.
And like I said to you a couple minutes ago, if you do your homework, you probably won't end up hiring me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of homework, and I guess that's why it's like, all right. So I just wrapped up something.
How long have you been doing this homework?
About 14 years.
Okay, good.
And I didn't want to believe it. You know what I mean? So I wasn't proactive until I started getting enough false cases to where I had attorneys look at the cases and realize that they're like, hey, this pretty much looks like extrinsic fraud. And at that point, I was like, well, I'm not going to win against a bunch of attorneys that are doing extrinsic fraud. I'm not an attorney. I'll never win. So then I was like, all right, well, how do I get an attorney to help me out with extrinsic fraud? The last attorney that I had basically entered false information into the record for 2 years in Georgia. And so when I went there in February, I entered a piece of paperwork, and I haven't heard from them again yet. I'm still waiting for them to give me a new court date. But I went back and I found, I went and got the information off the books. Off. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry about that. I had a situation where my father had hired an attorney for me in Georgia. Back when the start of these kind of weird situations started happening. And normally I just hire an attorney, but the experience that I just had with the case in Georgia is the reason I'm hesitant now, because when I dealt with the one in Montgomery County, at the last minute he switched up what I'd be pleading guilty to a number of years ago on the stand. And then further talk to that attorney, he just let me know, he's like, Montgomery County doesn't follow their own codes. So that kind of made me feel like, as far as Montgomery County, I'm in a lose-lose situation.
Turn right onto Bellinger
so
Cove,
I
then your
kind
destination will be on the
of
left.
expressed the trust last court hearing, and the judge accepted the fiduciary trustee position, and then tried to back up on it, and said that she'd only accept it if I pled guilty to a citation, which then puts the liability back on me. And at that point, nobody really wanted to go to trial, so they just sentenced me to a citation. And
welcome home.
$500 isn't that expensive. It's just that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be arguing, and my team isn't going to be arguing the things that you want us to argue. Which is why I don't think that this is going to be a good fit for either of us.
Okay, so basically they don't uphold any constitutional rights or anything like that.
No, I'm not going to say that. You ask them, and they say they do, and you ask me, and I say I do. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, the simple fact that people are stopped, or presumed and assumed to be in commerce, and then when they correct the record, like say I correct the record, is my sworn statement going to be ignored? Because that's what we seem to be getting into. It's like I make a sworn statement and then they ignore it and they don't want to listen to me, and they say, we can't talk to you as a man. Well, I understand you can't talk to me as that. You can't talk to me. You need to talk through an attorney. So they just ignore me, and that's, as a beneficiary, that's dishonorable. And that's a violation of the public